Hi, and welcome to Tom's Hit Parade. A couple of losses to talk about today, one big and one small, as well as a change in my music listening habits that's been taking place over the last several weeks. First of all, the big loss, as everybody's heard, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, passed away this week at the age of 76. Now, classic soul is one of those genres that it's not one of my favorite genres, and I kind of wonder why, but then again, when you think about it, if you knew how a genre or an artist or an album would affect you ahead of time, some of the magic of music would be lost, I think. So, but yeah, if I had to pick a favorite classic soul singer, it would probably be Sam Cooke, just because of his voice and his body of work. But then the same thing can be said of Aretha Franklin. I mean, a voice unlike any other. The number of hits she had. Respect and Think, obviously her two big hits. You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. Daydreaming, which was one of my favorite Aretha songs. What else? You're All I Need to Get By, Until You Come Back to Me. I mean, the list goes on. And this, by the way, is the Australian reissue, I believe it's remastered, of her 30 greatest hits that came out in 1985. So same track listing, in case you were looking at this and saying, oh, a different special compilation album. No, it's the same one that was issued in 85, just remastered. But yeah, despite my fondness for both Aretha and Sam Cooke, they occupy a pretty minimal amount of shelf space in my collection, and for that reason I will get to in just a couple minutes here. In fact, the only other Aretha album that I own is one that I bought just the other day, the day that she passed away, actually, but for $2.50. And this was at the end of the day, so thank you to Epic Seconds for not upping the price on these after the news of her passing. But anyway, the other CD I just picked up, I just talked about, is Aretha Sings the Great Diva Classics, and I haven't listened to this yet, but honestly, it's Aretha, so I can't imagine it being any less than excellent. At Last, the Etta James classic. Rolling in the Deep, I can't wait to hear what she does with that one. Midnight Train to Georgia by Gladys Knight and the Pips. No One, the Alicia Keys song. Nothing Compares to You, the Sinead O'Connor song. Come on. I cannot wait to listen to this. I'm going to listen to this afternoon, I think. So, yeah, you could say Aretha Franklin has gone too soon, but honestly, 76 years old. She definitely lived a long life, and she left behind an amazing discography for us to enjoy. But honestly, if she had lived another 10 years or 15 years, we could probably still say she was gone too soon. But as it is, Godspeed, Aretha. We're gonna miss you. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I had a minimal selection of Sam Cooke and Aretha Franklin CDs in my collection. I actually only have one Sam Cooke CD, his greatest hits. And that actually is true for a lot of artists whose work I enjoy. In a way, that's kind of the natural evolution of a music listener's tastes is, you start out with the hits, and if you like what you hear, then you start to dig deeper. It's just taken me a while to do that, primarily due to shelf space considerations, which I wasn't able to alleviate until just recently. I was able to purchase a modestly sized entertainment cabinet, CD rack mainly, so that's giving my collection a little bit of room to breathe, which gave me an excuse to start digging deeper, as I said, into artists that I've enjoyed for a long time. The most prevalent example right now being Elton John. Now, you remember in my post-concert Weird Al Week video, I showed a couple of CDs that were in that grab bag that I said I already had and was going to offer up to friends. Well, a family friend down in Las Vegas was the first to ask for them, so I sent them to him, and in exchange, he was generous enough to send me 3 Elton John CDs from his late 80s, early 90s period. Got Made in England, Sleeping with the Past, and The Big Picture. So thank you, Jeff, for these. I've been enjoying them. And of course that sent me down the proverbial rabbit hole with regard to digging even deeper into Elton John's discography. And over the last couple of months since then, I've picked up some of his more recent stuff, Diving Board, Peachtree Road, and Songs from the West Coast, which I've also really enjoyed. So yeah, in the last few months I've gone from owning 2 Elton John studio albums, being Goodbye Yellow Brick Road and his last one, A Wonderful Crazy Night, to owning 9. So, and I'm going to keep on going, because honestly, even a mediocre Elton John album is a good album. I mean, let's face it. That's been my experience lately anyway. I still do have his Greatest Hits 2-disc Greatest Hits album. Not quite ready to give that up yet. When I've got a little bit more complete a discography, I'll probably discard that one. But yeah, I've really been enjoying that one. And another example, the most recent example actually, of beginning to dig deeper has been Billy Joel. Now, for the longest time, sorry, the only thing I had of his discography was his Complete Hits collection, the 4-disc set. But primarily motivated by the fact that it was celebrating its 35th anniversary this year, and I actually was able to show it off in last week's Backtracks episode, was I decided to pick up An Innocent Man. And again, that started me on collecting. I mean, I've enjoyed his singles for, since I was a teenager. So it's like, why not start digging deeper into his stuff? I mean, kind of the same story with Elton John. I mean, I loved his singles for a long time. So yes, just in the past week and a half, I actually picked up, I think, what is the rest of his Phil Ramone era. The Stranger, 52nd Street, Glass Houses, and The Nylon Curtain. I picked these up so recently, in fact, that I have not had a chance to listen to them yet. I just loaded them onto my iPod. I'm going to be taking a bus ride up to Portland tomorrow, spend a few days up there, so this will give me something to listen to on the bus ride up. And thank you to SMEB Reviews for kind of giving me the motivation to do what I've been putting off for a long time, for the longest time, and digging deeper into Billy Joel. So, yeah. And there are a few other artists who I have already discarded their greatest hits albums in favor of starting in on their studio albums. One example being Simon and Garfunkel. These are probably their 2 best albums in my opinion. And one strong motivator for Simon and Garfunkel is that they only put out 5 studio albums. So it's kind of like, why not? Not a huge investment, And another example is the Byrds. Picked up their first 2 albums, and these are, very easy. One of the motivators for these was they're very easy to acquire for a very minimal price. I mean, I got these both $3 or $3.50 used. So honestly, and they're the remastered versions with bonus tracks. And then there are still a couple more artists that I happened upon 2-in-1 CDs of theirs, their first two studio albums on 1 CD, and that kind of got me to just go ahead and get rid of the Greatest Hits album, because almost all the songs that I even cared about were on their first 2 albums. I got The Lovin' Spoonful with Do You Believe in Magic and Daydream, both on 1 CD. This is actually a Japanese import. And the Jackson 5. Diana Ross Presents Jackson 5 and ABC, both on 1 disc. So yeah, those are the artists that I have actually begun to dig deeper on. There are still plenty of artists that, all I have of theirs are their greatest hits albums, and I really ought to start digging deeper because I enjoy them not quite as much as Billy Joel and Elton John, but still, I like their stuff, so I don't know what's, well, yes, I do know what's holding me back on digging deeper. Money, obviously, and of course I don't want to run out of shelf space again, because I'm kind of starting to reach a saturation point with, just the size of my room is, kind of more limiting than the amount of shelves. You can only add so many shelves into your room before you can't add any more. So, but anyway, Elvis Costello, Tom Petty, David Bowie. I mean, those are some of the artists that I kind of like. As I said, not as much as Billy Joel and Elton John, but I'd kind of like to dig deeper. Maybe that'll happen eventually. But another one that I really, really do want to dig deeper on is the Kinks. Literally everything of theirs that I hear, I like. So I can't imagine not liking their studio albums so much more. I've just got their greatest hits, the complete singles collection, 1964 to 1970. So yeah, that's the one that will probably happen the soonest. When, again, I can't say. But anyway, such as it is. Now the other loss that I was going to talk about, the smaller loss, is one that's a little more personal to me. My headphones. Yes, this was I believe the third pair of my Panasonic RP-HTX series headphones. I mean, I loved the look of them, and they had great sound. They were comfortable. Now the lining on here, and this was actually the first pair that this happened to, was that the lining began to tear away from the edge. But that's not what killed it. What killed it is what usually kills a set of headphones: the weakest part of the entire operation, right here, where the audio cable meets the headphone jack. You know, all the twisting and turning this happens over the years with this. The wires come loose, and once that happens, it's dead. So, you know, obviously I thought I could just go online and order another pair of that same set. Unfortunately, they have discontinued the wired versions. That style is only available in a wireless Bluetooth model now. But of course, since I listen to music on my plain old iPod Classic, Bluetooth is not an option. So I was forced to shop around on Amazon, is where I usually do my shopping for that kind of stuff, for a new set of headphones. I like to stick with the brands that I'm familiar with, just because, you know, the name recognition, and probably most people are like that, you know, just the comfort factor of, you know, a name that you've heard of before. So eventually, after a few hours of web browsing on Amazon, I finally came up with a set of KOS headphones. And these are, I've got to say, these are fantastic. I took a gamble, obviously, never having purchased a pair of KOS headphones before, but these are amazing. These are quite possibly the most comfortable set of headphones I've ever worn. And I like the ones that fit over and around your ear, you know, so that they completely surround your ear, and so you've got, it gives you a little more privacy with the music, not as much bleed out from the sound, and a little bit better sound isolation. I mean, these are not noise canceling or sound isolating headphones. They're not marketed as such, but you know, they give good sound, and wired, obviously. But the selling factor for me on these is the headphone cable is detachable from both ends. So if this wears out, you just toss it and buy a new one. And so your headphones will theoretically last as long as the stuff inside here lasts. So that is awesome. Yeah, and they give great sound. I've owned them for a couple weeks now, so I have absolutely no complaints. And I cannot give you the model number of these right now because it is not printed. Oh yeah, UR42. The KOS UR42. And another awesome feature of these is, you'll notice on the second ear cup, if you can see it here, there's a jack. So if you've got a friend who's with you on a bus or whatever, or just sitting around, and they want to listen to what you're listening to, they can plug their headphones into this second jack, and it'll daisy chain the sound to the second pair of headphones. Is that awesome or what? I have not tested that feature yet, but I mean, just the idea that they put something like that into these headphones is amazing. So if you're in the market for wired headphones and you like this kind, you know, the over the ear headphones, check out the KOS UR42. Excellent headphones. So yeah, that's it for today. Any fond memories of Aretha Franklin, favorite songs, favorite albums? Let me know in the comments. Any artists that you're digging deeper into that you haven't until recently, or any favorite albums by any of these artists that you recommend, also let me know. And also headphones. Do you have a favorite brand or favorite style of headphones? Before you talk about the in-the-ear, the earbud style, I've tried a half a dozen of those. I cannot get them to stay in my ears. So, you know, don't bother recommending earbuds to me. It won't happen because I've tried to make it happen. So, but yeah, any, you know, on-the-ear headphones that you like, or over-the-ear, I should say, let me know if you had good experiences with headphones. So yeah, that is it for today. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love to have you as a subscriber. Comments, as I said, are welcome. Again, thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's too short to be a music snob.